been such a massive shift, and it can be really difficult for, you know, parents as educators to actually catch up to what's going on, because Snapchat didn't even exist as a social media platform 5 years ago. It's now got absolute hundreds of millions of users, and very active users are usually your 13 to 17-year-olds. They're sending an average of 100 Snapchats every single day. So it's a completely different...
One person was in the 100?
Yep, absolutely. Because Snapchat's disposable. It's even more disposable than Twitter. So it's moving really, really rapidly, and it's such a huge shift that, you know, it's so difficult for people to get their heads around. It's just a fascinating thing. It's amazing to see, you know, how life has changed for us. Social media can be brilliant, it can speed things up. Twitter's fantastic, but I saw a great thing on Tumblr a few years ago, which was basically, you picture someone with a smartphone and they're saying, I have this device in my hand that can basically give me all of the documented and combined knowledge of the world, and I use it to look at cats on the internet and have arguments with complete strangers. And that's really summed it up. It's the human nature angle, that we waste our time on social media instead of connecting and learning and absorbing and really engaging in life.
I've been on Facebook for years. I got the
Yep.
5,000.
It takes approach of having a sex fairy godmother, someone that you trust, that you can go to for advice. You can ask the slightly squicky questions that you wouldn't necessarily ask a teacher or a parent, and, you know, spins it all into one safe place for young girls to get information about sex and love and relationships. It's definitely not providing them with too much information. What it's providing them with is factual, correct information that's the flip side of the coin to what they're seeing out there in the mass media and video clips and pornography. So For Fox's Sake is actually the better thing to be giving them. It's not giving them more information, it's just evening things out and balancing the ledger so that they're dealing in fact rather than fantasy. Reading For Fox's Sake is definitely not going to encourage young people to go out and be more sexually promiscuous. If anything, it's going to do the opposite. Time and time again, research has shown that the better sexual education that teenagers have at the right time in their lives, they have fewer STIs, they definitely have far fewer unplanned pregnancies, and they will often wait to start sexual relationships later in life. So they're making smarter decisions with the more information that they have. And I know that can be challenging for certain educators and parents to wrap their heads around. It's always really challenging to see, you know, your child or your teenager move into another realm of their life. But the reality is, the more information they have, the smarter they actually get. They're absolute digital natives. I know 3-year-olds who can work an iPad better than I can, and I'm a digital specialist. So they view the internet, they view social media quite differently to how, you know, we do and how the parental generation do. So they don't have that filter that we do. We don't hesitate to go, oh, Twitter's driving me nuts, I'm going to switch it off for a month.
10 years old today, Twitter.
Exactly. So it's just absolutely amazing that there's a different mindset, and parents have never experienced it directly. And when there's a barrage of 24/7 bullying and sextortion lurking around in everyone's back pocket, I felt that it was really important that we actually address these really critical issues. Let's get in front of that gate before the horse has bolted. Let's get younger girls thinking about and talking about the ramifications of these kinds of things before it becomes an issue.
And it's just amazing how much the world has changed. You know, Instagram didn't exist 5 years ago, Snapchat didn't exist 5 years ago, and Twitter's only just turned 10. Completely changed how we, you know, live our lives and do business. So it definitely throws up a few challenges for people, for sure. These days, you know, sexting is the new love note. Where it's really different is on two levels. The first is that it tackles a lot of subjects that sex ed books don't tackle. It tackles online bullying, it tackles sexting, It tackles sextortion, which is where, people are being bullied to send, nude photos. It even tackles chemsex, which is basically being wasted, when you're having sex or getting intimate. It looks at consent. It looks at all of these different things. The other flip side of it is that makes it stand out is it's full of real life stories, which you generally don't get with books, which is all about what goes where and this is what this is. I've told real stories about what happens if you accidentally get sort of tears in your eye when you're wearing contact lenses, all those kinds of things that are actually real life, but you tend to find out the hard way. So I've bared my heart and soul and said, this is all the awkward stuff that can happen, this is all the great stuff that can happen.